Today on Mina Studio, 5 free Android apps for the worship leader. Thank you so much for joining me here at Mina Studio. I'm Nathan, and over on the keys is my tech director, Ronald. Today, we're going to look at 5 free Android apps for the worship leader. So let's get into the apps. Our first free must-have app for worship leaders today is GStrings. The GStrings is a free recording app for your Android phone. You can see it's registering my voice right now. Why don't we try tuning something with it? Let's see if I can find something here. Oh, look, a ukulele. I'm sure it's perfectly in tune. Or not. Well, let's tune it up with GStrings. There we go. Our second app today is BPM Tap. This is a tap tempo app. You can just tap on the screen and it'll tell you what tempo you are tapping. That's a tongue twister. I use this all the time when I'm recording in the studio and when I write songs to figure out what tempo the song I just wrote is actually in. If you wait 2 seconds, it'll clear and you can start over again. You can also use this in worship team practice if you're trying to figure out what tempo a song should be in, especially if you're using click tracks. Or you just want to tell the drummer they're way off. Our third free Android app for worship leaders today is Smart Recorder. Now this is just a simple voice recorder. Click here and it starts recording. A lot of Android phones come with a pretty decent voice recorder already installed. But if you don't have one, Smart Recorder is a good option. And of course, the uses for a voice recording app are limitless for a worship leader. Recording songs, recording song ideas, just taking notes. You can record practice. You can record your service. You could record your pastor talking. A good idea for this is if you don't record your sermons, you can buy a cheap lavalier microphone, put it on your pastor, plug it in, start the recording, put it in his pocket, and you have a sermon podcast ready to go. Our fourth free app for worship leaders is Chord Bot. Now, Chord Bot is just an app that plays a chord progression for you. Let's go in here and make a chord regression here. Let's see. Click on our key. We'll be in the key of G because we're worship leaders. And there aren't other keys, right? Just G. Got the key of G here. Select major. Then we can just make our chord progression. We'll start with a G major. Go to our next chord. How about a B minor? Maybe a D major. Then a C major, like that. And then I click on that and you can play your chord progression. I actually kind of like that. Alright, that one's mine. Copyright Nathan Drake 2018. Don't steal it. So Chord Bot is great if you are planning worship and you're not around your instrument. I use this when I don't have my guitar with me. I need to figure out like what key a song could be in. I can just enter the chords here and sing it over these chords and I can tell if the key's good or not. You can also use it for writing songs. It's really good for picking out chord progressions. Again, if you don't have an instrument, or maybe if there's chords you don't know how to play but you want to hear how they'd sound, you can use Chord Bot. And our final free app for worship leaders today is Open Camera. Now there's a really good camera app called Filmic Pro that we will talk about in a later video, but it is $15. Open Camera is kind of the free substitute for that. So let's take a look at Open Camera. So you can see here, we have Open Camera, just your typical camera app. What this can do that's important is it can be manually set, sort of. So you can really just lock the focus and exposure. You can't adjust them, you can just lock them. So let's find an exposure we like here. That looks good. So we'll lock the exposure. And let's say we also want to focus right there. We will hit this little focus lock button, and now our focus and exposure is locked, which means if I go closer it should not change focus or exposure. You can see the focus is not changing, or if I go up to our light here, the exposure is not changing as well. So there's our 5 free must-have Android apps for worship leaders. Of course, there's a lot more than 5 apps in the App Store that could be useful for worship leaders, so we might just have another video, 5 more free Android apps for worship leaders, as well as iOS apps. I'm sure you also have your favorite apps you like to use for worship leading. Please comment below, give us some tips, give us the apps you like to use. We'd love to hear about that. Thank you so much for watching Mina Studio. If you enjoyed this video, please like it below and subscribe to Mina Studio so you can see more tech tips and gear reviews for the small church.